What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I'm driving a 2011 Suzuki Kizashi Sport SLS. Up front is a 2.4-liter inline-4, and down below is a 5-speed manual transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Kizashi because this has been on my bucket list for quite some time. It's such a strange and unique vehicle that was only made for a couple years. Suzuki isn't even selling cars in the United States anymore. And so it's odd, and every time I see one, I always try to take a picture. But today, I get to actually drive one. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 2.4-liter inline-4 under the hood, making 185 horsepower. Now, if you got the automatic CVT Kizashi, it actually came with 180. So the manual actually gets a 5 horsepower bump, which is quite pleasant, as well as this is actually an in-house Suzuki engine. This wasn't borrowed from any other make or manufacturer. It is a Suzuki bread and butter engine, and I like that a lot. I like it when companies actually have the faith and develop their own engine. Its red line is about 6,500, and it is enjoyable all the way up to that. Like I said, paired to it is a 5-speed manual. It is lovely to shift, lovely to kick around and chuck around. Shifts great, drives great, has a lot of tactile feedback, which I love in a car like this. And on these twisty mountain New York roads, this has been such a treat and a half. Last but not least about the drivetrain specifically, of course, this is front-wheel drive. However, there were all-wheel drive Kizashis offered, but those were automatic only. So if you could put up with the CVT, you can get all-wheel drive, but the owner wanted manual, so he's stuck with front-wheel drive. However, that's not totally it for the drivetrain. This also gets Akebono brakes from the factory and KYB shocks from the factory. So they really wanted this thing to handle well, and I think they did a fantastic job. How does it drive? Wonderful. It is an absolutely wonderful experience. On these twisty roads, it was super fun. It was responsive. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but going downhill, you don't need it to be. It's been very predictable, and that is the best thing a car can be, is just predictable. I had confidence in it when I put it into a corner, when I took a hairpin, when I was coming up or down the mountain. I knew kind of in the back of my head what this car was going to do, and then it did it, which gave me a lot of confidence, and it was just such a wonderful experience. However, with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 2 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer and coolant temperature, and off to the right is my speedometer and fuel, as well as a little information gauge in the center. On the steering wheel, I have my mute, mode, volume, and skip track to the left, as well as phone options and voice commands down to the bottom left. And off to the right, I have my cruise control and my trip and display buttons. The overall steering wheel is nice. It has this perforated leather, does the job. I don't really have any complaints about it. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent, fog light switch, traction control, and parking sensors on and off, and then 2 dead switches. Moving out of the door, we have the power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we have 2 climate control vents and the radio. Now, the only option this particular Kizashi didn't get was the navigation radio. However, because of that, it actually gets a Bluetooth radio, which is quite lovely and useful here today. So very nice to see that. Down below, we do have our climate controls. Dual zone climate for 2011 is great, but for a Suzuki is even greater. Fan speed, mode, defrost, all that stuff. And our heated seats, which have a high, medium, and low setting. Kind of interesting to see that distinction. Then we do have this little openable cubby with a USB and 12-volt outlet. And then we have the shifter. Like I said, feels great, shifts wonderfully, and I've really enjoyed my time with it. It's right on brand with other vehicles in this segment. Let's say Mazda 3, let's say Honda Civic, let's say Toyota Camry of the older generation, of course. Really, really nice. Then we do have a handbrake and cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Kizashi. And ladies and gentlemen, it passes! I don't know what it is, but all strange vehicles that I've reviewed, like the Aztek, the Cross Cab, they all pass. No idea why, but hey, I'll take it here today, ladies and gents. Then we do have a little center console and the seats. The seats are okay, but the owner, Zack, with an H. It says that on long trips, they do get kind of uncomfortable. It's not the sweet spot of the Kizashi, so it's not really a road trip car, and the seats reflect that. It is what it is. What can you do? However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2011 Kizashi, and first of all, it's just cool to be back here, but once we are back here, knee room good, headroom good. Spatially, it is pretty good. However, the owner has used this for rideshare services. And once there are 3 people in here, the ride starts to get pretty bouncy. The rear does not love having people in the back, and it's not a very tolerable ride. So that's something to note that the owner told me. But from my experience, I didn't ride back here, just sitting back here. It is pretty comfortable. I do have 2 vents back here. Most cars of this era do not have rear vents for the rear passengers, especially of this size, and especially, again, a Suzuki. It's one of those really, really nice features that they were able to add. I do have also pop-out cup holders back here. Fantastic as well. I mean, overall, it's a pretty decent back seat. I'm pretty happy with it. Let's hop out. We'll take a very quick look at the trunk, and then we'll talk about the looks. Here's the trunk of the Kizashi. You can fit stuff back here. It's nothing crazy. Bada bing, bada boom. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I like the look of the Kizashi. I think it's a little bit of macaroni styling where, like, it's a little blobby, it's a little bland, it's definitely very 2000s, but every single time I see one, I turn my head and I have to stare. It's a decent looking car, but it's just so rare. You don't really see these all that much. And so that to me just always sparks some type of enjoyment. However, with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving the Suzuki Kizashi? Well, I have to say I'm blown away in 2 different categories. First of all, the driving experience. The shifter has been amazing. It's been really responsive. It handles great. Throttle's responsive. On these mountain roads, it's been a lot of fun. So that definitely surprised me of just how well this car drives. But the second way it impressed me was with the amount of features in here. The Bluetooth sound system, heated seats, dual zone temperature, keyless entry, and push to start, which not only for 2011 was nice, but for a Suzuki, that's the biggest thing, is that Suzuki made economy cars. They make very affordable vehicles. All throughout their history, they've never done a luxury car. And yet this has features that you would find in even modern luxury cars. This really is nicer than I really ever thought the Kizashi, or really I ever thought a Suzuki could ever be. Now, there are a couple of things that Suzuki overlooked, like when you start driving, the doors don't automatically lock like in most modern cars. There's no 15-mile-an-hour window lock or door lock. But hey, those are peanuts. I think overall this was a really good stab at it. And I want to end the video with talking about Kizashi as a name because it is a very strange name. I wanted to do a little research into it. And what I ended up finding out was that Kizashi is a Japanese word that means something great is coming. It's kind of like an omen or a warning. And yes, I pulled that definition right from Wikipedia. And so Kizashi literally means something is coming. And you know what was coming in 2011? Suzuki leaving the American market. They literally said, hey guys, watch what we're about to do, and then just Irish goodbye our market. Sayonara, Suzuki. Although I'm really sad that they took the Kizashi with it because this car is nothing short of wonderful. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Zack with an H for letting me take out his Suzuki Kizashi. We tacked this on last minute and I was so thankful we were able to. He's been absolutely wonderful to work with. Very knowledgeable, and I was so thankful he let me take this car out because this most certainly was a bucket list vehicle, and I just can't thank him enough. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.